Hello and welcome to the Prelims PYQ discussion of NEET. Here we are discussing all the questions from 2014 to 2023 prelims. This is the 8th video in the series of Ancient India, and in this video we are discussing the Gupta period. We have 3 questions. The first question is from the 2020 prelims, and the question goes like this. With reference to the history of India, the terms Kulyavaba and Dronavaba denote what? You have 4 options. First one, measurement of land. Second, coins of different monetary value. Third, classification of urban land. And fourth, religious rituals. Now, this is a very tricky question. 3 of the 4 options are very close. The reason I say this lies in the answer key. I'll explain that once. This is one question where you should not take any risk because you can be wrong more than you can be right. Let's look at the answer key. The VAP, the term that is attached to the second part of both terms, Kulya VAP and Drona VAP. The VAP here means to sow, and Kulya and Drona are measurements. So Kulya VAP means the area required to sow 1 Kulya of grain, and Drona Vyapa was the area required to sow 1 Drona of grain. So both Kulya and Drona are measurements. 1 Kulya is equal to 8 Dronas. So these are higher and lower measurements. Now if you go back to the options, here you have coins of different monetary value, different measures, just like Kulya and Drona. Here they are talking about urban land. They are also about land. Here it is about measurement of land, which is exactly the answer. Religious rituals is something that is away from these options, away from the context of this question, but these 3 options are very close and very tricky. So better to avoid taking risk here. Study the terms very clearly, Kulyavapa, Dronavapa and VAP. And finally you have one more takeaway, which is Nivartana. That is also a similar land measure from the Gupta period. So next time you have terms like this, you can use them for your elimination. Coming to the second question, with reference to the period of Gupta dynasty in ancient India, the towns Gandasala, Kadura and Chaul were well known as. So these are 3 different places. And just like the previous question, when you look at these terms, it looks very unfamiliar, very factual. But the catch is in the options. Look at the first option, ports handling foreign trade. Now this should be ports, any port handling foreign trade. So it may or may not be correct. Let's leave it like that. Second option, capitals of powerful kingdoms. So powerful kingdoms in the Gupta dynasty or the period around Gupta time or in ancient India for that matter can be numbered in your fingers, and their capitals is something that everybody will be familiar, at least one of them will be very familiar. But here you have 3 alien terms, so this option is more likely to be wrong. Not wrong completely, we are not ruling it out, but likely to be wrong. Third option, places of exquisite stone art and architecture. Here again, this term is the catch. It's not any place of stone art or architecture, but very exquisite place. And we have 3 unfamiliar terms. Finally, it is important Buddhist pilgrimage centers. Not just any Buddhist pilgrimage center, but important Buddhist pilgrimage center. Here again, you have 3 terms that are very unfamiliar. So using your logic, this should be the most likely option, but still we cannot zero in on that, but most likely is the option A, and answer is option A itself. And this is not the first time that UPSC asking about ancient ports. You had a question about Muchiri or Muziris in 2023 prelims. Then there was a question on the Kakatiya ports. And now you have this question. So Chaul, the term mentioned in this question, is a port from Western India, and Kadura and Gandasala are ports from South India. Muchiri I just mentioned, it is a port from the Kerala coast, again from South India. You have Puhar also, another prominent port from South India, which is popularly known as Kaveri Pattanam. From Western India, the other popular ports are Kalyan, Barok and Kampe. If some of these were given, you could have read the answer, but you have the most unfamiliar terms here. So it's better that you study these along with what you already know. Coming to the third question, with reference to the forced labor or Vishti in India during the Gupta period, which one of the following statement is correct? You have 4 statements. It was considered as a source of income for the state, source of income, a sort of tax paid by the people. The second, it was totally absent in Madhya Pradesh and Kathiawar. Third, forced labor was entitled to weekly wages. Fourth, the eldest son of a laborer was sent as forced laborer. Now, when you read the options, you can apply your logic, and you need 50% of your content as well. Because everybody will know that forced labor is Vishti, but the specifics of it is something that everybody doesn't know. Now, when you look at the first option, it was a source of income for the state, sort of tax pay the people, very likely. Because you are forcing someone to do the labor for you, so it should be in lieu for something else. And it can be tax. It may or may not be for tax, but it can be. So this option is likely. Second option, it was totally absent in Madhya Pradesh and Kathiawar regions. Like, why? You should always ask the question why. Because Gupta Empire is centered around the Indo-Gangetic plain as a big empire. And why Madhya Pradesh and Kathiawar is absent? Was there a big feudatory there? Was there different rules there? We don't know something of that sort. So this option is unlikely to be true. Third option, the forced laborer was entitled for weekly wages. If you think logically, if there is weekly wages, it's not forced labor in the first place. If it's weekly wage, then it is wage labor. So forced labor is something where you force that person to work without wages. So this is also likely to be wrong. So we cannot zero in on anything, but likely. The last option, the eldest son of the laborer was sent as the forced laborer. It can be true. There were systems like that. So it may or may not be true. And let's keep it like that. From these two options, you can take a 50-50 chance if you don't know anything of this. If you know this, it's a straight answer. If you don't know, 50-50 out of this. And the answer is option A. As I said, Vishti, forced labor, everybody knows. It is a labor in lieu for taxes. That's the definition of it. So when you study Vishti, don't just study it as forced labor, but study it as forced labor in lieu of taxes. Now everything will fall in place. If it's in lieu of taxes, it's a source of income for the state. So the first option becomes automatically correct. If it's a source of income for state and if it's in lieu for taxation, then there will not be any weekly wage. So this last option, third option, becomes automatically wrong. Then comes the last option. Anyone from the family can be sent as a forced labor. This is something factual where you have to take the chance. And eldest son being sent for forced labor, that is also very unlikely. Anybody can be sent for forced labor because it's an oppressive system. So any labor that is available, any male labor that can be sent for forced labor, it is likely. So you can think of that line as well. But 50% knowledge and 50% guessing will work in a question like this. So that's it from the Gupta period. We'll come back with yet another video. Thank you for listening.